Greetings, fellow humans. I'm MartianBuu, and today's pocket video is on Charizard EX with the Fossil package. This deck looks almost exactly like it did before, except it has some fossils in it now. Any fossil will do, I just so happen to like the way Helix Fossil looks, so I picked that one. The idea behind the fossils is to give you early Sabrina protection without creating a late game Sabrina liability. So early on, you want something extra on your bench so that if your opponent plays Sabrina, you don't have to give up your Charmander that you've been charging. But normally, when you bench something to protect from that, then when your Charizard is up, all powered up and ready to go, your opponent can Sabrina around the Charizard and take their last point that way. With the fossils, you can bench them to protect your Charmander from a Sabrina early on, and then when your Charizard is ready to go, you can just discard the fossil, leaving yourself with no bench Pokemon for your opponent to Sabrina to cheese out their last point. Overall, I think this is a huge improvement to the deck. You still have some issues with finding the right evolutions in the right order, but at least your Charmanders aren't as easy pickings from Sabrinas as they usually are. Plus, you're not really giving up anything to include the fossils. That slot was previously dedicated to red card, which is incredibly mediocre. So overall, I think this list is both much better and much more fun. I hope you enjoy the games, and thank you so much for watching. Starting Charmander, which isn't great, but you know, it's better than something. I guess it's better than not having Charmander. Maybe. Huh. Well, if they leave up that Tynamo, I get to knock it out for 1 energy. That's kind of funny. If I top decked Moltres, I'd probably still retreat and flip, right? I won't have to ask that question. I think if they knock out Charmander, I'm just toasty roasty regardless, so I'm not going to worry about... I don't know. Anyways, I'll take my prize. Take my point. So, in the paper card game, at the beginning of the game, you shuffle your deck, and after you, like, looked at your hand, done the mulligan, set up your basic Pokemon, you take the top 6 cards of your deck and you put them to the side. Those are your prize cards. And then instead of getting a point when you knock out, you take a prize. So you get a card in your hand. And like the point system is better, other than the fact that you have to keep track of it without using just cards. Like the advantage of the prize system is you can keep track of how many knockouts without having to have a dice set up or something. So I think that's cool. Come on, Moltres. Neat. Oh, my opponent is about to hit me with a Jolteon. That's disgusting. But hopefully we can get some heads here. Opponent about to hit me with the Jolteon. You hate to see it. But the problem with the prize card system is you can have important pieces stuck in your prizes the whole game. So, not only does that lead to you occasionally having something prized that you would otherwise win if you had access to it, but it also means that players are, the first time they search their deck in the game, they spend an extra like 30 to 40 seconds just trying to figure out what got prize locked. And I think that's the right thing to do. I think there's nothing wrong with doing that. That's just how the game is set up. I think the mechanic itself is the issue. Like, I would like it if you could just look at your prize cards, you know, see what you put there. That's an easy change that I would make to fix that situation. Like, just make it so that you can look at your prize cards, so that you don't have to like spend an extra 30 to 40 seconds on your first search just reverse engineering what got locked. Oh, my opponent is not very talented. Oh my goodness. Did you see that? My opponent is not good at flipping. I would be embarrassed for them if I was them. Right now, 1 potion doesn't do much, but 2 potions does. 2 potions means they have to get even more heads. All right, now they have to get 3 heads to knock it out. And my opponent was not talented last time, so I'm not expecting them to suddenly become more talented. Remember the beginning of the game where I just kind of got that free... I just kind of got that free extra knockout? That's so silly. Alright, my Charizard is ready to go. I will say that much. Imagine landing only 1 heads. I know. That's crazy. Not my streamers taking 2 heads. Yeah, you know, that's a lot better than the double 3 tails I got last time. Wouldn't it be better to reveal all prize cards at the beginning of the game? Right, that's what I mean. Oh, you're saying versus like being able to look at your own prize cards every time? Probably, I don't know. Face-up prize cards is a little awkward because then you get to see what your opponent's up to, but it's pretty clear usually by then regardless. So, all right, look, my opponent is not good at this. Opponent, listen, you can flip. The coin can be either heads or tails. Heads is good. All right, you have to remember that heads is what you want. Heads is what you want. Remember that for next time, okay? Opponent's getting riggedy wrecked. Do I need Helix Fossil anymore? No, yes, it's fine. Because they have to knock out 2 things. What up, Lamp? What you got for me? What you got for me, opponent? My opponent is trying to figure out if I'll remember to attach an energy this coming turn, which, to be fair, I might not. You know? You never know with me. You never know what Marshy will do. Crimson Storm! Back! Hey, I just started this game today. I'm hooked. Can you tell me how long it takes you to get some good free to play? So when I started playing, the amount of time it took me from having very few options free to play to having many options free to play was about a week. It took me about a week. You like listening to it, but you can't really contribute to the conversation? Word. Word. All right, so we have Charmander and X-Speed and Pokeball. So if this results in a So if this Pokeball results in a Moltres, we'll be good. Moltres, let's go. Unlucky. Should I bench the second Charmander? Maybe not yet. Kirby. Don't you dare tail whip me. Don't you dare tail whip me, you baked potato. Hey, I want one of those. How have you found 2 and I haven't found a 1? Absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal for the Marshy fans. And let's get that tails. Not that it matters. Oh, okay, cool. I would like a Charmeleon and a Moltres, please. Professor's research. That was neither of the things I wanted. Thank you. I appreciate that. Alright, so now I'm going to X-Speed, retreat to this Helix Fossil. I'm going to play a second Helix Fossil to play around Sabrina, and I'm going to put this energy on the Charmander. Can't wait for traits in the game. I'm excited to let go of my like 2 extra Articunos and build towards a Mewtwo deck. Nice. You like the Pokemon art behind me? Thank you, thank you. It's pretty fun. I kind of want to expand it a little bit. I need something for the to the right of where all those games are. When I do full screen mode, it shows the empty space a little bit more, but like it's nice that it fits so cleanly into the section it's in for this. All right, my opponent decided to be a stinky jerk and knocked out my Helix Fossil. Hey Charmeleon, how you doing? All right, so now I guess I wish I should have sent this up, X-speeded to this Charmander and had this Charmander die, so that the Helix Fossil could continue to exist as Sabrina, as a Sabrina check. Without forcing me to have to leave this up as a forever poo-poo. Okay, so I think they're gonna have a hard time. I think they're gonna have a hard time following up the Ninetales attack. So I think there's low risk of Charmander being a liability. So as long as we don't have a Charmeleon Sabrina now, now that I didn't do the play I just suggested, it's better to bench the Charmander to protect from the Sabrina this turn. I was gonna say Portrait Mode Martian doesn't have any gaps. It's good. It's good stuff. So where I start to have a problem in this position. Oh, it doesn't matter, right? Like having the benched Pokemon doesn't matter as far as like it being a liability for the most part, especially now that I've drawn this Charmeleon. I should have held the Charmeleon for now. So like the only way that the Charmander is a liability here is if they get enough heads on Moltres to power up Slash, but not enough to power up Crimson Storm on their Charizard EX. Because then they could Sabrina and hit the Charmander for 60. Now that I've evolved into the Charmeleon already, I'm in a kind of an awkward position because they were never knocking out Charmander next turn. But now this turn, they could Sabrina me and lock Charmeleon into the active position. And then I couldn't retreat it and also repower up my Charizard at the same time. So I think it was a mistake to evolve the Charmander already, is my point. How does Helix Fossil play around Sabrina exactly? If this was a Helix Fossil instead of a Charmeleon, I could just discard it. So the reason I benched this Charmander was so that before I attacked with my Charizard, they couldn't Sabrina me and force me to send up the Charmander I was investing energy into. So if this had been a Helix Fossil, I could have still done that, but now I can discard Helix Fossil so that there's no benched Pokemon for my opponent to Sabrina me into that is easier to knock out than the Charizard. Like, the Charmeleon is a liability because it has 90 health compared to the Charizard, it's 180. So my opponent only needs one more point. If they had 90 damage, they could, if their Ninetales was powered up, they could have gotten an easy knockout that way. But if it had been a Helix Fossil, I could have just discarded it. So it allows me to play around the early Sabrina without having to play into the late Sabrina, if that makes sense. We're in a good spot. Like, Sabrina sets us back, right? So if we lose to Sabrina. Have we used an X speed? So yeah, evolving that to Charmander, like evolving this to Charmeleon made this a liability because they got enough tails on the Inferno Dance to where I could have left this as a Charmander and it would have been fine. But luckily they didn't have the Sabrina, so I didn't get punished. All right. I have the Sabrina though. Gimme, 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 gimme. Womp womp. Going second is good. Starting Charmander is not as good, but because we have the other Charmander already, we can Pokeball for Moltres for sure. And we have Charmeleon, which is the first step towards having a Charizard. You know, better have Charmeleon now and find Charizard later. Mewtwo EX coughing. Interesting. Alright, so we have Moltres. And here's our Sabrina protection. The worst feeling is when you run into someone in a match who's running Pokedex in their deck and you lose to them anyway. But usually when they do that, they're running the 18 trainers build, right? Do you have to run Pokedex in the 18 trainers build? Pokedex really is an awful card, right? Yeah. Like the only reason that Pokedex has any utility other than like vague planning utility is if you're gonna Pokeball, right? Like if you have Pokeball and you have Pokedex, you can Pokedex first to see if you like your next 3 cards, and then the Pokeball will shuffle your deck. No point in powering up Moltres, right? I think we're just trying to juice this Charmeleon. What a skill issue. What am I missing about last game? Killing Charmeleon gave them their second point, and you had 2 energy on Moltres. I'll have to check that out after this. Only had 1 energy on Moltres? Yeah, I was pretty sure I only had 1. You scared me. I was like, wait, did I really miss that? I was like, I was 100% confident I couldn't win at that point. Yeah. I was talking about, like, I should have attached the energy to the Moltres that only had 1 to set up being able to do the play you just suggested with the Sabrina, but it was too late at that point. I had already not invested the energy in the right spot. I've seen some Weezing as a Mewtwo decks for the mirror, but I don't know if it's any good. It seems terrible to me. Like, do they just not run Ralts and only run... They just don't run Ralts and they only run Weezing Mewtwo? This seems super strange to me. Guess it's like a whole new deck, right? That would be like an anti-meta deck. I guess like kind of like we did with the Alakazam. You run Weezing as your main attacker and then Mewtwo as your energy sink so that you can finish them off. I guess that's not as stupid as I thought at first. That might be good. Can I make a deck with Ampharos? Ampharos is not in the game yet. What are my thoughts on the Bazaar? Bazaar is fun. If you like auto battlers, I recommend the Bazaar. It's cool. We have reached the I win spot if we get Charizard. Kind of. Because we can attack with Charizard, power up, attack with Charizard again using the big Brungus Blast, 200 damage. But we need a Sabrina to play around the second coughing. Charizard for me? One time? Charizard one time, come on. Ah, thank goodness. Alright. And we got the Sabrina too. Oh my goodness, chat. The talent. Oozing with talent, chat. Talented MartianBuu does the Crimson Storm. Wow. MartianBuu, would you ever play MTG with the new Marvel cards just released? Do you mean MTGA, like on stream? It requires too much money for me to have a streamable MTGA account, so no, from that standpoint. Would I play it like in my off time? I will. I was playing Commander just yesterday, so I don't know which Marvel cards I would play, like if any of them are any good, but I would definitely do it if I felt like one of them was good for my deck. How much is the Bazaar right now? I don't know. I invested $50 in the Indiegogo 7 years ago. So like, that's when I paid. And that's how I got my beta access. It was the Indiegogo investment from a jillion years ago. I don't know how much it costs for you guys. I think it's 30 bucks, but I'm not sure. All right, well, starting with Charmander again, hate to see it. We do have 2 Professor's Research in our hand though. Oh, hey Moltres. Good to see you. Can we get an X-Speed? X-Speed one time. Oh, cool. So X-Speed, we retreat. Send up Moltres, and then we play this Helix Fossil to prevent Sabrina punishes, and we're happy. I'm gonna do this just to thin my deck, but I don't think I want to actually play any of the fire Pokemon. This does actually feel much, much better with the fossils. Being able to put something out that is Sabrina protection for now, but not Sabrina liability for later is a big upside. Yeah, this is an Alakazam. Actually, so I have Alakazam as my Twitch title because I was playing Alakazam previously. I am switching it now to Charizard with, or how about Fossil Charizard? Call it Fossil Charizard to confuse everyone or intrigue everyone. Hopefully intrigue. But yeah. Ba, 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 ba. Well, we have everything we want. Chossel. Yeah, absolutely. Am I related to Marvin the Martian? If so, why aren't you loony? I am not related to Marvin the Martian. Marvin the Martian, if you can believe it, is actually a fictional Martian. I'm a real life Martian. Can't believe I bamboozle you guys like that. What can I say other than you just got wrecked? I'll tell you who got wrecked. It's me. They have Giovanni here. Don't have Giovanni. Come on. It's not worth it. Neat. All right. Well, we just win then, right? So we do this and this And I guess we do this. We'll hit him with the Inferno Dance. Fossil Charizard, I'm intrigued. All right, cool. It's already done its work. 3 tails. All right, sick. The talent continues. Didn't matter too much in this case. It mattered a little bit because now we can't Crimson Storm and follow it up with Crimson Storm. But I think it'll be okay. If they Sabrina and knock out Helix Fossil... Oh, okay, no, they don't. They didn't have anything. Unlucky for them. But if they played something else and Sabrina to knock out a Helix Fossil, I think I'd leave the other one up so that they can't Sabrina onto Moltres EX. So yeah, I guess there was nothing they could do at that point to, like, mess with the prizing. Should have drawn a second basic. Yeah. Don't know what to tell you. This game feels very RNG dependent. Between drawing and coin flips, isn't sleep kind of broken? Sleep is not broken. It, like, can be a little devastating, but if you're in a position to where you're sleeping your opponent, you're probably also not dealing a bunch of damage to them. So, but yes, there's a big RNG element with that, and that gets mitigated by choosing different decks. Like, for me, my opponent's deck and Pikachu EX and a little bit the water deck are like the good decks, and playing one of those makes you much more RNG resilient than compared to playing this one. But this one requires you to, like, draw your Moltres and your Charmander in a specific order and then, like, draw into the evolutions. So I think a bit of that's going to be solved just by them adding more cards, but for now it's a little lopsided. Sleep is perfectly balanced because they always roll heads when you do it. There you go. 80% of the time it works every time. Yeah. Real and true. Real and true, chat. Pokeball just in time. Just in time to not be needed. I guess I'll play it. But yeah, like, even just raw powering up a Charizard in this spot is really good, right? Like, Mewtwo can't deal 180 damage, and we're just gonna sit here slashing and storming our way to the top. Long-time viewer, first-time engagement, love the content. Well, thank you for watching, Brian. I appreciate you. It's so much better streaming this game now that it's set up with the mouse and stuff. Oh my goodness. I used to have to, like, stare down at my iPad the whole time I was playing. Oh, but having this in the Bluetooth mouse is good. That's good stuff. Opponent conceded. They saw the writing on the wall. Okay, well, here's... Am I going first or am I going second? I guess it didn't really matter, especially because I have the Helix Fossil, right? I'm already Sabrina resistant. Sandshrew. Alright, well, we have Moltres, we have Charmander, we have Helix Fossil, and we have Charmeleon and Charizard in hand. So right now, everything is going about as well as it can, except that we went first instead of going second. Which actually might be okay depending on how many heads we hit, right? Like, we hit 4 heads out of 6? I think if we hit 4 heads out of 6, we're good, right? No, we would have to hit all 3 heads off of this and also draw X speed for going first to have a positive impact. And even then, eh. Okay, I take it back. And going first sucks so hard. Yay! Yeah, 5 old ambers, neat. Yeah, that's what I'd use to fill in the Articuno spot for sure. If you're like eager to jump the gun and not play the Marowak deck for a while, I'd probably play it that way over running Articuno EX with your Dragonite. My opponent's playing the Marowak deck. Do they have the X speed? Can you imagine how different these fighting decks would be if Brock was like Misty, where you could target anything with it? It'd be like, I think Brock would be slightly better than Misty. It's like always being able to ramp 1 is probably better than only ramping at least 1 half the time and sometimes high rolling to fully power something up, I think. Like almost certainly, right? But like, you know, if these decks could play Brock to be able to power up extra attackers, I think fighting would be a lot better. Okay, well, I'm going to Inferno Dance as many energy as I can onto this Charizard, and then I'm going to sweep their whole board with this Charizard. First time Misty Insta-Tails? Oh no. What is the tech behind Fossil? The idea is now it lets you play around in early Sabrina without playing into a late Sabrina. So I have it on the bench now to protect my Charizard while it's getting powered up. And as soon as it becomes active, I'm going to discard it so that they can't Sabrina to take their final point. Like if this was a Charmander, an extra Charmander, I'd have to play it so that they can't Sabrina into my Pokemon I'm charging, and then it would be sitting there, leaving me open to a Sabrina for my opponent to take a 3rd point after knocking out this Moltres. But after they knock out the Moltres, I'm going to be able to just discard the Fossil, and then they can't Sabrina me to finish off the game anymore. Unless they get double tails, in which case they just, you know, that's a skill issue. And we don't, you know, like it kind of stinks that my opponent's skill issued here because I wanted to show you. But so imagine this Moltres is dead, right? Because it died because they flipped at least 1 heads on their Marowak, right? So now I get to discard this Helix Fossil, and since it's no longer Sabrina protection, I can discard it so it's not Sabrina liability. Now that's the idea behind the fossils, but my opponent had a skill issue, so it ended up not mattering. You're hoping Misty having full art would give you better odds. You know, you'd feel like it should, right? Maybe it like cost 1 less mana or had +1 attack. Yeah. Look at this guy. How funny the Mewtwo playmat is. I wish I could set, like, I wish the playmat that I chose was always the playmat, because I like using a plain playmat because the cards pop from it more for the sake of streaming, right? So if the Moltres had died and that Helix Fossil had been a Charmander, I just lost the game, right? That's what would have happened. But because it was a Helix Fossil, I could discard it. It'd be so much easier if like they hadn't skill issued the Moltres. Like I could just show you guys how it worked instead of having to like hypothetical it. Yeah, that's right. That's what I thought. Why don't you get out of here with your tails on Bone Meringue? All right, here's a Charmander. Where? Okay, so no Moltres yet, but we're going second, which is nice. So we got a Moltres off the Pokeball and an X speed off of Top Deck or Professor's Research. I'd be pretty happy. I do like the part where they don't have a Pikachu yet. Ooh, there's XP. So we specifically want Moltres. I'm going to use this first. Didn't get it. Moltres, please. Oh, thank goodness. Like, sometimes you have a bad feeling, you know, like you just know that it's not going to be the one that you want it to be. And I felt that, but it ended up being Moltres, which is nice. So, good deal. I guess I'll play this other... I'll keep the other Helix Fossil in hand so that their temptation to red card is still there. It's like, I don't want this hand, right? I want Charmeleons and Charizards. Okay, we got one heads. There's the Pikachu EX. Slow start for them though. Given that the Moltres is lightning weak, is it ever worth it to just start zap kicking? Hey, Charmeleon. Oh, come on. Thank you. Alright. So that's good enough. Now all we need is Charizard. So we have one more Professor's Research and 2 Charizards in deck. So 3 good draws out of 10. I might X-Speed retreat into Fossil if I don't top deck Charizard next turn. Yeah, that'll be good. Cause like this, oh, but they have Zebstrika. They don't have it out yet. Oh, but we got Charizard, it's fine. Wow. And I mean, they just lose. They just got Charizarded. What are they gonna do about this other than be really, really sad? Jeepers. Yeah, like if this is the best way to play fire, it's just because when it does get going, it's stupid, right? Like it's so much less reliable to get a Charizard out than it is to get out an Arcanine or a Scentiscorch, right? Like there were so many, it was much more likely that we wouldn't draw a Charizard there than that we would draw a Charizard. So, you know, we could have been in a bad spot depending on where that Charizard was in our next few draws, but when you do get it, when everything does line up perfectly, this deck is so stupid. You know? Waiting for opponent to return already. Opponent has already given up. You hate to see it. Starting with Moltres, that's good. And going second is good. So we could be on track if we hit Charmander. I'm not going to count my potatoes before they hatch though. Hi, Barkley. Came all the way around to see me. He's been sitting next to me on the couch for a minute, but now he wants to say hi. Don't you? I pulled a golden Mewtwo in my first like 10 packs. Such a crazy feeling. That's nice. I haven't pulled any of the golden things yet. I've pulled all of the extended artworks, but I haven't pulled any of the like golden ones. Aww. This is what I've always hated about this deck, is like not being able to find the Inferno Dance target. It feels so bad. Because we'll go aggro Moltres or something. Won't we? Won't we, Barkley? Barkley agrees. So funny, like I don't always bring him on my lap for you guys to see, so if you haven't seen a video where Barkley's in already, for all you know, I'm talking to nobody. You know, I'm just pretending there's a dog here. Huh. Am I pretending you're here, Barkley? Why are we not using the pretty Charizards then? I only have one, so it's kind of off matching. And generally, for streaming purposes, I like to use the basic version of cards, because I feel like they're more readable for people who are newer to the game. But if I had two, I would probably use it. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I think the Charizard gets a lot more lost in the picture than the Pikachu does. And like, as far as the full arts are concerned, it's a lot clearer that something is an EX when it's the regular template. Well, as soon as it's not an EX, or as soon as it's the full art, to me, it looks... It's kind of like in Hearthstone when you have a signature card, right? Like, it's not very clear that it's legendary. Counterpoint pretty? Sure. This is a considered response. Counterpoint pretty? Yeah. Hot part. The Charmander is so cute. The Charmander is cute. I do like the Charmander. I think for the non-EX ones, I'm a little less concerned with how they look with the full art. Hi, Barkley. Come prove you exist. Oh, you've been so patient today. You've been a good doggy, barely barking, just chilling, being a cute doggy. All right, well, here's our Sabrina protection that we don't need because we have a bench, whatever. Like, okay, so my opponent either red cards me here or, you know, gets wrecked. Imagine how cool this Machamp would be if Brock could target it, right? Like, if my opponent could have gone Brock and actually been able to Mega Punch last turn, that would be a cool Pokemon. But Brock can only hit stupid Pokemon, so like, fighting is just suffering right now. All it has is Marowak. 2 fighting energy for no damage. I guess I'm gonna send up this one. Like, no reason to give up a single prize. This gives up no prizes. Points, rather. There's a fighting type gym in Kanto 2. I remember that gym. Go in there and get a Hitmonlee or a Hitmonchan. It's really funny that they lost their gym membership because a psychic gym moved to town. So they got their butts kicked. So it's like, it's not because the psychic training is better. Their whole gym was just automatically weak to Sabrina. They got done dirty. Dirty. Just like this Machamp is getting done by my Crimson Storm. Isn't that right, Barkley? Oh. My opponent conceded, as they should. Come on, Barkley. Come on. Come on. Alright, say hi. See? It's a dog after all. Alright, I wasn't lying. He really exists. He's not my imaginary friend. Wait, you guys can see him, right? You guys can see him? I didn't make him up? I'm not going insane?